All right, we all love a good book, right? But I get it, you're here for something more.
You want to know how reading really impacts us, like deep down.
Exactly. And we've got some fascinating articles here that promise to reveal just that.
Yeah, they go way beyond. Reading is fun, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. They dive into how reading changes our brains, our emotions, even our social skills.
We're talking real, tangible benefits.
Like that fact from one of the articles about reading for 3.5 hours a week.
Oh yeah, that one blew my mind.
Longer lifespan just from reading. Seriously.
It's wild. And it's all about building what's called cognitive reserve.
Okay, break that down for me.
So every time you read, it's like a workout for your brain.
Okay, I can see that.
You're taking in information, figuring out complex sentences, making connections.
It's got to be more active than just like scrolling through social media.
Way more active. It's
Yeah.
challenging your brain.
Yeah.
And that makes it stronger, more resilient.
Just like building mental muscle.
Exactly. And just like any workout, even short bursts can make a difference.
Speaking of short bursts, another article mentioned that just 6 minutes of reading can really reduce stress.
Oh yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
It's like a mini vacation for your mind.
You know what? I actually tried that. I was swamped with deadlines the other day, super stressed, and I picked up a poetry book for a few minutes.
And
You know what? It totally worked. It was like this mental reset button.
that's awesome. It just goes to show even a little bit of focused reading can have a big impact on how you feel.
Seriously. It's like magic, but with, words.
It's your brain on books,
Yeah.
literally.
Love it. So we've established reading, good for the brain, good for the mood. But what about the rest of our lives? Does reading really impact how we interact with the world around us?
Oh, absolutely. And that's where it gets even more fascinating. Ready to dive into that? Ready to dive into that?
I am. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so we've talked about reading as this brain-boosting, stress-busting superpower.
Right. Like we could all use a little more of that in our lives.
Exactly. But it goes even deeper, right? It's not just about what's happening inside our heads.
It's about how we connect with other people, with the world around us.
Exactly. And one of the articles you shared had this amazing fact about Agatha Christie.
Oh, yeah. The most translated author globally. I mean, come on, that's incredible.
Right. It shows you the power of a good story, how it can transcend languages and cultures.
It's like this universal language we all understand.
Absolutely. And it makes you wonder if part of Christie's global appeal is how her stories actually make us more understanding.
And you mean because they're mysteries? We're always trying to figure out who's doing it?
Exactly. We're
Yeah.
putting ourselves in the shoes of the detective, of the suspects, trying to see things from their perspective.
Oh, wow, I never thought of it that way. But it makes sense when you really get into a book
You start to see the world through different eyes.
and maybe even develop more empathy for people who are different from us.
That's exactly it. One of the articles actually said that reading fiction can make us more empathetic people.
Really? I mean, it sounds kind of counterintuitive. We're talking about fictional characters, made up stories.
Right. But when you think about it, it's like practicing empathy in a safe space.
So instead of facing a real life conflict,
You're in the pages of a book, exploring different viewpoints, different emotional landscapes.
and that actually translates to the real world. I mean, that's amazing if it's true.
The research seems to back it up. It's like building a muscle. The more we exercise our empathy muscles through reading.
The better we become at understanding and connecting with people in our own lives.
Precisely. And that has huge implications for, well, for everything. Relationships, communication, even just being a good human.
It's really incredible when you think about it that way.
It is. But of course, the world of reading is changing, right?
Huh.
We can't talk about all these amazing benefits without addressing the elephant in the room.
You mean the digital revolution? Ebooks, audiobooks, all of that.
Exactly. It's a whole new world of reading, and it's raising some interesting questions.
It really is a whole new world. But no matter how we're reading, the goal is to, actually absorb all that goodness.
Right. It's one thing to talk about the benefits, but making reading a habit, that's where it gets tricky.
Okay, tell me about it. I'm always like, oh, I should read more, but then, life happens.
It's so true. We get busy, we get distracted.
Yeah.
But one of these articles had some great tips for actually making reading a habit.
Okay, because I need all the help I can get.
Well, first things first, they talked about improving reading speed and comprehension.
Ooh, see, now you're talking my language. Because sometimes I swear I'll finish a chapter and be like, wait, what did I just read?
That happens to the best of us. Our brains are notorious for wandering.
Mine especially. So how do we stop that?
Well, it can be as simple as finding a quiet space, putting your phone on silent.
Creating that little reading bubble.
Exactly. It's about signaling to your brain, okay, it's focus time.
Give yourself permission to actually get lost in the book.
And speaking of getting lost, another article talked about active reading strategies, which I think you'd
Oh,
love.
yeah. Tell me more.
So it's not just about passively consuming the words. It's about engaging with them.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Things like highlighting key passages, making notes in the margins,
Yeah.
even just pausing to reflect on what you just read.
Turning it into a conversation with the author, even if they're, long gone.
Precisely. And that's where the real magic happens, when you connect with those ideas on a deeper level.
It's funny, isn't it? Because reading is often seen as this solitary activity.
Right. But it can be so powerful when we bring our own thoughts and experiences to the table.
It's like we become part of the story ourselves.
And that ties into that last article about how reading can be such a powerful tool for personal growth.
It's like holding up a mirror to ourselves, to our beliefs, our assumptions.
Exactly. It challenges us to think differently, to see the world through new lenses.
And maybe even become better, more well-rounded people in the process.
Oh, wouldn't that be something?
It would. Wow, we have covered so much in this deep dive.
We really have. From our brains, to our emotions, to our place in the world.
Who knew there was so much to say about reading, right?
It's amazing, isn't it? How something so familiar can still surprise us.
It really is. Well, on that note, any final thoughts for our listeners before we sign off?
Just this. Think about what you want reading to bring to your life. Relaxation, inspiration, a new perspective. And then, even if it's just for a few minutes each day, make time for it. You deserve it.